Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and it's only me again. As you can see, I'm not out detecting. I'm at home in my living room, and I just wanted to record a video for all of the subscribers on my channel to say a huge thank you for reaching 500 subscribers, which doesn't sound like a lot in the grand scheme of things, and I know that a lot of people out there have got far more subscribers, but to me it means a lot. It's huge, and I wanted to say a personal thank you to each and every one of you that have subscribed to my channel, and yeah, and that's, you know, it just means a lot. It really does. So I started the channel a few years ago recording on my phone, and I used to go out and metal detect all the time. I was, well, I still am, completely obsessed with it. And what got me into metal detecting was, I specifically remember this, one day I was browsing my phone, and I think I was on YouTube or something like that, and I just came across a video. I don't know who it was, by the way, but I came across a video of someone metal detecting, and for some reason I watched it, and I've always been quite involved in history, so I've been very interested in history, but I watched the video and I specifically remember a little spark, a little moment just went, wow, like, you can go out in the countryside and find things that people have dropped for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and something inside of me just said, that is it, that this is exactly what I wanted to do. And I got a metal detector for my birthday, I think it was, and that was it. I was hooked. I was literally hooked. I remember specifically I couldn't wait to get the metal detector and go out and try it. And my birthday is in February, so it's quite cold here in the UK in February, and I remember that it was really cold and it was freezing, but I just got this metal detector and I just went out, and, you know, I didn't find very much. I found some 1 pennies and things like that, but it was great. It was really good, and ever since then I've been utterly hooked, and it was all because I'd watched that one video on YouTube that really got me into it. So I started the channel primarily just to give something back, because I thought, well, if I can watch it, somebody else might want to watch it, and if that gets them involved in metal detecting, then great, I've almost passed it on. And you know, I've always wanted to put forward a little bit of knowledge in the history of where I detect as well, and hopefully that comes across in my videos. And yeah, that was it. I mean, as a thank you, I'm gonna today in this video go through some of the best finds that I've found during metal detecting, and I have been metal detecting since 2013. I think it was 2013. So yeah, as a thank you to everybody that subscribed and liked my videos and commented on them, I'm going to go through some of my best coin finds with you today. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to go and get them, but let's take a look together and see what you can get by doing this wonderful hobby. Okay guys, so as you can see, I keep my best coins in this nice little aluminium case that my sister got me for Christmas one year. So thank you very much again to my sister. And in here are some of my best coins that I have found over the years I've been metal detecting since 2013. So let's open it up and take a look. So as you can see, a lot of these coins in here are silver hammered coins from the UK, and that's predominantly what I find. known as hammards, hammies. They range pretty much from the, well, be the 12th century onwards. Some of the coins in here are milled coinage as well, and they're in here for a special reason. It's because they are either of high grade, or, you know, they're just a less known common issue. So this is where I keep them, in here. And one of the things I will say to you is that I do clean my coins. The monetary value of these coins means absolutely nothing to me. I'm never going to sell them. I'm going to keep them as a collection, and I want them to look nice. So I clean the mud and the crud off of them, and I do get rid of some of the toning, because to me they look nicer. And that's probably why some of them are a little bit more shinier than others. But obviously the grade of the silver changes in some of the coins throughout the years as well. So there was a quite a large debasement around the Henry VIII era, where of course he was minting silver coinage like groats, half groats and those sorts of things, and the actual silver content in them was a lot less of what it should have been, because you know, the money was being used to fund wars and things like that. So of course it was quite important to keep the coinage being minted, but of course they you know, had to devalue it slightly by introducing different metals into the coins, although still effectively calling it a silver coin. So let's take a closer look at some of these guys, and yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about the story behind them and where they came from. Okay, so I thought there's no better place to start than the very first hammered coin that I found. Everyone tends to remember the very first hammered coin they found, and I remember mine very, very clearly, and it just so happens to be probably one of my best coins as well. So this little penny here, I don't know if you can see that, but that is a King Henry VIII, and it's an Exeter Mint one, and on the back there is the portrait. Now, it's not the portrait of King Henry himself, it's one of the archbishops, but I can't quite remember the name of him. And that's a little silvered hammered coin, and that's the very first hammered coin I ever found. And I had been detecting for 3 or 4 months before I came across my very first hammered coin. And it's quite a good story behind this coin. I always tell this story, especially to people that have not found a hammered coin yet. And that's, I went into a brand new field, and it was a field that had a pathway through the middle of it. I remember it very, very clearly. And I got there in the morning, bright and early, it must have been about sort of 8:30, and I just remember looking at this huge field going, I just don't know where to start. And I walked into the middle of the field, randomly put my bag down, and then started setting up my detector. And I walked 3 paces and hit this target. And I was just flummoxed. I was like, wow, I've been in this field for less than 10 minutes, set my equipment up, and I found a hammered coin already. And it was luck. I could have started anywhere in that field and missed this coin, and yet I was, you know, I almost went straight to it and walked in the direction that this coin was, and my detector picked it up. And I was using an XP detector. It was an XP Gold Max Power. Still probably one of the best detectors I've ever owned, to be honest with you. I found so much with that detector. And the only reason I upgraded it was just because I had to keep changing the batteries in it. And you couldn't use rechargeables. You had to keep using decent batteries. And it became a bit annoying because you had to carry around all of these batteries. But yeah, that's the very first little hammered coin that I found, that one. So that one's quite cool. And I remember going to a place quite close to here, which used to be an old aerodrome. And I remember going there on a Sunday and thinking, well, I'll just take my detector and see if I can find anything. And again, I wasn't detecting for very long, and I came across a target very close to a path. I dug the target, and inside of the hole were these 2 coins almost stacked on top of each other like that. and they are 2 silver coins. One is a sixpence and one is a shilling. You can see the shilling here. Now, one thing I would say about this shilling is I have cleaned it slightly, but I haven't really cleaned it that much. And it was just incredible. The condition of it still now is incredible. It's almost like it's just come out of the mint. It's obviously not been in circulation very much at all. Every single detail is crisp and clear, and you can clearly see the date on the bottom, which is 1871. So that would obviously make it young Victoria. And yeah, nice milled edge to it, and even the reverse there, which Queen Victoria, with the bun on the head, so they call it the young bun, is just fantastic. I was so impressed with this one, even as it came out. It didn't really need cleaning, but I did give it a bit of a scrub up, and it came up nice and shiny. So yeah, I found that one, and at the same time in the same hole, I found this little sixpence, and again, this dates from 1872. So whoever dropped them at exactly the same time and just never bothered to come back and get them. And there's 2 little Victoria young buns, solid 925 silver, these coins. And I always remember the sound of the target to this day. It was just boom, wow, you know, let's see what's in here. And it just goes to show, finds are everywhere. You can't guarantee it. You can do all the research in the world, but you could literally walk along, excuse me, a random field, and all of a sudden, boom, you just get coins. And that's exactly what happened with these 2. And yeah, I've kept these in this case because they just hold such good memories for me. Really, really, really good memories. So I went back to the same field I found my first hammered coin in, and I was lucky enough that field must have been some old sort of market site or something like that, because I, on the very same day, found 2 William III, there we go, sixpences, and they were probably within about 5 or 6 feet from each other, and there they are. That's both of them. Okay, and I found them both in the same field, not very far apart, and as you can see, absolutely cracking busts on both of those. The detail of them is fantastic. Now, an interesting little story about these, and I found this out later after doing a bit of research. These are dated 1696, which is what most of the... it was a huge amount of sixpences minted in that year. So you usually find most of these around that sort of time. And there's some of the very first milled coinage as well. So this was when hammered coins were going out of fashion, being melted down, and then being utilised into these much sort of thicker, nicer coins. And I love the milled edge on these. Let me just see if I can get it to focus for you. You can kind of see it there, yeah. It's so different to modern coins, the way that they mill them now, but yeah, I do love the edge on these. But the story behind these coins is that if you look at the front, okay, you can see that they've got the 4 shields. So that would be England, Wales, Ireland, Scotland. And on both of these fronts, you can see that one of the shields has been rubbed off. Which actually, no, it wasn't England, France, Wales, Scotland. I think one of them was France. I think one of them was France, yeah. Because France, of course, used to be a kingdom of the UK until it got taken back over. And both of these coins have the French shield rubbed off of them. And you can see it very clearly on this one, and you can see it very clearly on this one too. And all of the other shields have incredibly good details, but both of these coins have the French shield rubbed off. And it became obvious to me that whoever owned these coins at the time, so if you think when these were minted, which was 1696, these would have been in heavily circulation in the UK around the 1700s, and there were lots of French wars between the English and the France between that time. And that's actually when France was given back to the UK, or won back by the UK. But whoever owned these coins obviously did not want to be associated with France, and that's why they rubbed the shields off. So not only did I find two coins, but I found something that somebody had taken, literally had defaced the French shield on each coin, and must have used it, and then for some reason must have had a hole in their pocket, and they both just dropped out. And I was lucky enough to come along years and years later and pick them up and discover that story. So another little great detail about metal detecting, that you can go out and find all these lovely coins, but the story and the research that comes after finding it, for me, is equally as exciting, if not more exciting. So some of the other coins that I've got here, this here isn't a silver coin, but it's a James the Second, I think. Was it James the First? Oh, I can't really remember. I found it so long ago. But it's a gun money. So it'd be James the Second. Yeah, it's a gun money crown, and it's an over-stamped one. So they actually stamped this over a different denomination, and it's made from melted down cannons, would you believe, as well. So my history on this isn't overly great, but from what I remember, James II had to go to Ireland in order to evade being captured by the British. And whilst he was there, he tried to gather an army to go back over to Britain and fight for the throne. And he obviously didn't have any money, although he was effectively the King of England. He ordered the remaining soldiers that fought with him to melt their cannons and melt down every type of base metal that they could find in order to mint coins like this. And what he said that he would give these to every soldier that would follow him back to England, and when they won the war and he fought back his crown, he would then take this back from them and pay them a sufficient amount in silver or gold coinage for every soldier that fought with him. Unfortunately, it didn't work out very well for James II, and he never made it back onto the throne. And unfortunately, a lot of these coins were thrown away by those soldiers. And I was lucky enough to find one several years after it was thrown away. And I remember the story about this one. I was in a field detecting, not getting anything all day. It was a very hot day, I remember. And there was a little woods next to the field. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go in there and have a go. It was next to a stream, so I thought, why not? The trees were relatively young. It wouldn't have been a forest back then. And I was in the woods and I'd found a couple of odd bits, and all of a sudden, boom, I found that. And it was towards the end of the day, and what made a boring day in the field probably one of the best days ever, to come home, do a bit of research on this odd-looking thing that I found, and to find out that it was a gun money crown. I was like, wow. And these are quite rare too. Not too many in circulation, especially the over-stamped ones, because you can see the previous denomination on here as well. So it was worth a fair bit of money, and I was just like, oh, it was just luck, really, pure luck. But again, another great coin, another little story behind it. And yeah, I've got a selection here of probably one of the most commonly found hammered denominations. So these are Elizabeth I coinage. You find tons and tons of these, whether they're crowns, sixpences, half crowns, or threepences and stuff like that. They come up everywhere, and they're all dated sort of in the 1500s, so the 16th century hammered coinage. A lot of them are very good metal as well, although towards the end of her reign she became quite broke because she was having to fund all of these wars with France and some of the other countries, so a lot of the crown's money was being used elsewhere. But so many of these coins were minted, and most people that find hammered coins, generally these are the first hammered coins they find too. I've been lucky enough to find quite a few of them. This one here, you see it's dated 1670 something or another. Can't quite see the date on there. I've got another one here. There we go. And the bust on this one's quite good as well. And you can see a little crease mark in this one going from here, and that's because when I found it, it was bent in half. It wasn't bent in half for the reason of being a love token, but it was bent in half simply because it had been rolling around a ploughed field for ages and ages and ages. And unfortunately it just hit something and slowly just bent it. So I had to unbend this one by heating it up and then quenching it and slowly doing it, heating it up again, bending it out, quenching it, and it took quite a while, but you get there in the end with them, and it turned out to be a lovely example. And again, this one is 1594, so this is very near the end of Elizabeth's reign, that one. And yeah, so what I've also got here as well, which is this one. This is, let's put it in the camera for you, a Mary I Groat. So Mary was Elizabeth's sister, as I'm sure you know if you're watching metal detecting videos, and her reign was very, very small indeed. In fact, I think it was only a couple of years. And so hammered coinage for Mary is again quite rare, and you do see some with her husband, but the ones with just Mary on are quite rare. And I remember finding this coin in a field that, again, I was in there for hours and hours and hours, and I'd almost lost the will to carry on in this field, to be honest with you. And you know, just when I was about to give up, bang, in an area of the field that I was, you know, probably wouldn't have gone over, but for some reason I'd walked down there, and I found this, and it gave a cracking signal. I remember it's clear as day. I remember picking it out and looking at it and being like, oh, it's quite worn, and I couldn't make out who it was, because as you can see, the bust is quite worn. And that's another interesting feature about Mary coins. A lot of them are defaced. Okay, so if you look at this side, now Mary coins as well are very thin. They're notoriously very thin, and that's because they were very stingy with the metals, the silver they were using to mint the coins, because it wasn't very much around. So they made them very, very thin, and that means they wore out very easily. But as you can see the front here, this coin was obviously in circulation for quite some time, because a lot of the higher points on this coin are just worn. Now that's not worn from being in the ground or, you know, rolling around in ploughs or anything like that. That is worn from being in a coin purse or being just touched or, you know, changing hands at a market or something like that. And you can tell that because it's just the high points, okay? But what's interesting is the back here, so the bust side. Now you can see the crown up here. Just see that there. We can catch it in the light. So you can see the crown, and you can kind of see the face, but it's been defaced, and I know that because if you look at the writing around the outside, which is known as the legend, okay, most of that writing is high, it's prominent, and you can feel it, and it's nice. But the middle section where the face is, somebody has literally rubbed it out. And that is because, again, bit of a history lesson for you, but I'm sure you guys all know this. Mary was a Catholic and Elizabeth was a Protestant. I might have got that the wrong way around, actually. But regardless, they had very different religious views. And a lot of people that were under the reign of Mary did despise her. She ended up murdering a lot of people just for their religion, and as you can see, this coin's been in circulation for a very long time, and she was only on the throne for a short amount of time. So when this coin was being used in the UK, people were very, very glad, or a majority of people were very glad to have her sister Elizabeth on the throne, and the coins that she minted in her name basically were defaced. Okay, so if you find one of these coins and it's got a good portrait, you're very lucky, and it will be worth a lot of money, because nobody managed to get to it and deface it before it was lost. All right, so yeah, that was another coin that I found. I was really pleased with that one. And that very same day, not long after finding that Mary coin, I found this. And it was in the same field. It was probably about half an hour on, and I'd been in that field since, early morning. And I remember all morning not getting anything great. I remember having some lunch, stopping, and it got to about sort of 4:30, and I remember thinking, well, I'm going to go at 5, so there's not a lot in here. And then I got the Mary, and I carried along the same part of the field, and it was a pasture field. And I also found this, and this obviously gave a really nice signal, because it's a big old chunk of metal. Yeah, there's quite a bit of history behind this coin, because this is quite a rare coin, and unfortunately it's completely ruined. I mean, a lot of the details gone on it, but it was a King Edward VI. Okay, so I think this was a crown from the top of my head. And it's a real shame that this coin is in such bad condition and it's so worn, because again, it's very rare, would have been worth a lot of money. I mean, it was worth a lot of money back then when somebody lost it, so somebody would have been very, very disappointed. But what I like about this coin is that, regardless of its value, somebody has put a hole in it. And they've, for some reason, bent the bottom up here to the point where it is literally flat. I mean, it's almost like it's part of the coin. Okay, now obviously a hole in it means that it was worn as a necklace on a pendant. Okay, and the reason why they bent the bottom of it up here is anyone's guess. I do not know. I have no idea. I've not been able to find anything out about that. But how cool is that? Somebody probably would have had a bit of money to wear this as an item of jewellery, because this could have been exchanged for quite a bit of money. And yeah, there's that one, a nice another big silver hammered. What else have we got? Okay, yeah, so I'll show you this this lovely Edward Groat. Okay, this is probably one of my favourite coins because the condition of it is just wonderful. As you can see, it's been nicely cleaned. I like it. I know some of you are going to be going, oh my god, it's too clean, but I like it. I think it looks really, really good, and that's exactly how it would have looked when it was in circulation and when it had been minted all those years ago. So this is a 14th century groat, okay, and obviously it's you can see the long cross with the 3 pellets in the quadrants. And the funny story about this coin was that I'd been detecting on this site for several weeks and not really getting much. And I remember my sister coming along with me one day, and I said to her, look, you have a go. I'm going to have a bit of a rest, give my arm a rest. And so she did, and I remember she made one sweep up and down the field, and on the second sweep, not far from where I was sitting, she dug the hole, and I remember her specifically going, oh my god, come over here, have a look, have a look. So I ran over and had a look, and she'd found this, and I was just amazed that she'd found it, and I think she was really chuffed as well. And it's just, yeah, it's just in such great condition. Lovely, lovely big groat there. And you're probably thinking, well, why doesn't your sister have it? But she probably wouldn't have taken it, and to be fair, she was using my detector, so that's the unwritten rule. But yeah, I do treasure this coin. It is absolutely lovely, and again, this probably wouldn't have been in circulation for very long after it was lost. So I'll try a bit different. So this here, there we go, is a little silver denarius. Okay, it's a 3rd century denarius. All right, and on the other side you'll see the Emperor Septimus Severus. I think that's how you say it. You say it slightly weird, but I call him Septimus Severus. I think it's Septimius Severus. Okay. And I found this in a field, and it got dark. It was in the winter, and it was probably about 6:30 or something like that, way after I should have gone. And I remember finding this, digging it out, and because it was dark, I couldn't quite see it, and obviously it was covered in mud, and I just saw this on the front, and I thought, oh, it's just an odd Victorian penny or something like that. And I just bunged it in the bag, and that was it. And I remember cleaning it a couple of days later and looking at it more carefully and going, this is silver. And obviously cleaning it a bit more and going, that's not Victoria. And then realising that it was actually a little Roman coin. And the cool thing about this little denarius is that it's the first Roman coin I'd ever found. And I remember cleaning it, discovering what it was, and just being absolutely gobsmacked and just being so happy that I'd found this little coin that was 2,000 years old, and it had been dropped in the ground. And one of the really cool things about this coin is not only is it the first Roman coin that I found, but it's also one of the very first coinage from the Roman era to depict Britannia on the front. So I wasn't all that wrong when I looked at it in that dark night and saw Britannia on the front and thought that it was a Victorian coin, because oddly enough it is. It's Britannia seated. She's not on her chariot like we see in the modern coins. But there she was in all of her splendour. So that, again, is, a great little story behind that coin. And I do tell that to a lot of people as well, because always be a bit more mindful about what you've got, and don't be too quick to just cast it away. So, what else have we got here? So this is another good find as well. So this here, as you can see, is one humongous piece of silver. It's one of the biggest coins I've ever found. Okay, and this, I think, is a Charles VI crown, and it's dated from the 1700s, I believe. No, it's not. It's dated from the 1600s, Charles VI. And yeah, it was absolutely humongous. And again, this is exactly how this panned out, and you're probably going to get bored of hearing this, but I was detecting all day. It was a ploughed field in the middle of nowhere, and I cannot express how important that statement is, because there is nothing anywhere. I had to probably walk for about 25 minutes to get to this field. It was at the top of a hill, no village nearby, no major roads, nothing like that, and I just thought, well, the guy's given me permission to do it, I might as well go and try. And I did, and I got nothing all day other than shotgun shells and rubbish, absolute rubbish. And I was there with my partner at the time, and she's not overly into metal detecting, although she did like to come out and enjoy the countryside. And we were walking along, and I got this signal after a few hours, and I just thought, oh, it's going to be another shotgun shell. And I didn't even have to dig. This thing was lying in all of its splendour on the surface. And it wasn't quite as nice looking as it is now, because I have cleaned it a little bit. But it was just there, staring at me. And I picked it up, and I almost couldn't believe what I was looking at. It was just the biggest lump of silver, from the 16th century or the 17th century that I'd ever seen. And I didn't even have to dig a hole for it. And, I just couldn't take my eyes off it all day. I specifically remember driving home that day with it in my hand, because I was so chuffed that I'd found it, and getting home and researching it using the books and things like that was just great, because it's not a bad example. There's certainly a lot better ones out there, and as you can see, the king depicted on this horse on the back is a bit worn, but you can kind of see he's there. I love it. I think it's an absolutely great coin. And there's another big coin very similar to that there's a nice story of as well, which is this one. And that coin there, as you can see, is another Charles. There he is. Quite a nice bust on this one, although a little worn around the chin there. He did have quite a pointy beard, but it looks like he's got a very big beard on this one, because it's quite worn. And and there's the front again, really nice detail. A little bit of rubbing on the middle here, But I found this coin again in a field. I'd been there all day and I'd found absolutely nothing, and at the end of the day, boom, this one came out, and it makes your day. If you find something like this, it makes your day. It doesn't. You literally have scrubbed off all those hours you've spent walking around a field finding nothing because of this one find towards the end of the day. And I absolutely love finds like that. It makes the hobby completely worthwhile. So some of the older coins, I've got this one here. There we go, which is a, it's either a Henry the Second, I think it's a Henry the Second, or it could be a Henry the Third. But this is the post-Norman era coinage, and again, lovely little silver hammered coin. And this is the voided long cross. They mean voided long cross because, of course, the cross here is the cross section. It's long and it's got this void running through each section, hence why it's the voided long cross. And it's a nice little portrait on this one as well. You can see the ringlets each side of his face, which is his curly hair. And of course, really good facial definition on this one as well. Yeah, so an interesting feature about this coin is that when I found it, it was completely just bent in half. It was like a pancake, literally folded in half. Now, somebody must have done that to this coin on purpose, because there is no way any ground condition is going to literally fold a coin like this in half so that it's completely flat. And how they did that without it snapping is also quite impressive. They must have heated it up or something, but the reason why they did it and why they threw it away, I'm not entirely sure, but I came along and found it. And yeah, I wasn't really too sure it was anything good because it was folded in half and it didn't look like anything good. And it wasn't until I cleaned all the mud off of it that I realised that I'd found this tiny little hammered coin. And being obviously quite old, you're looking sort of, what, 800 years old, it was a very impressive little coin to find as well. And I took it home and I slowly bent it back until it was nice and flat again, as you can see. And yeah, you can hardly see that it was bent at all now. You can see a slight little crease still just through here, but it's really hardly noticeable. And it's nice and clean again, exactly like it would have been when it was minted as well. So yeah, that's one of the older ones. And another coin I specifically remember finding, which I put in here. Here we go. So this here is probably the first proper medieval coin that I found. And I say I found it, this, believe it or not, was my sister's find again, even though she was using my detector. She must be pretty lucky. She must be a lucky omen because, yeah, many times my sister has used my detector while I've been, you know, doing something else, and she's come across something really good. So this was another instance where she sort of called me over and was like, oh, come and have a look, and I came over and I'd never found a long cross penny before, especially something this age. You know, this is sort of like 1200s, 1300s, something like that. It's one of the Williams. I think it's either a William the Third or it could be a William the Second. And the way you tell is to do with the ringlets and stuff on the bust. It's incredibly complicated, and you have to be a bit of an expert to be able to tell the difference for these coins. But I didn't care. I was over the moon. I didn't realise what it was at first, because I hadn't found one, and I knew it was something good, but I just didn't know, obviously, that it was a William. And I took it home and cleaned it. It came out just like this, really. I haven't had to clean this one very much at all. Nice and flat, nice sort of chunky little penny, this one. And yeah, I was completely chuffed that I'd managed to walk along a field, pick up something that was that old, and it was my first ever one. And I remember just thinking, wow, this is great. This is a great hobby, you know. So there's that one. And I know we're rattling on a little bit now, so I'll try and wrap it up a bit for you. But this one here is quite a nice coin as well. So this is actually a Elizabeth I Groat. Now these aren't quite so popular as the sixpences and the threepences and stuff like that, and especially one in nice condition like this. You can see the shield there, it's really clear, all the four kingdoms there, nice good details in them, and the reverse is pretty good too. So you can see the portrait here. Again, the portraits always get quite worn, but it's not too bad. I'm quite happy with that. And being a Groat, you get the sort of the dotted line that you get on most coins, but then just inside of that dotted line you get this almost scored line, and that's a clear indication that it's a Groat. That inner circle, as well as the missing rows behind the bust, so really clear definition on that one. And these are worth a fair bit of money. They're quite valuable to collectors, so I was really chuffed with that as well. So that was a really good example of a good find, and I think I'd found about 2 hammers that day, so it was obviously quite a good productive field, that one. But yeah, really chuffed with that. As you can see, I mean, there's tons here. I could go through a story of each one of these coins, but I'm not going to, because I understand this video is going on for absolutely ages, and I don't want to bore you, but hopefully I have inspired some people to go out and do some detecting, because these are the things you can find. They are everywhere. I once heard a saying, which I believe is very true, that there are more coins in the ground than there are in the total of circulation in the UK today. And from what I've discovered, I'm tempted to really believe that as well. There are so many coins. Not all the coins are going to be like this, nice silver coins, but a lot of them are, you know, relatively modern within the last 100 years, especially when the great coinage shuffle came in. But there are so many coins, and if you do like finding coins, then you know, you will find a lot of them. So there we are. That's my coins. Thank you very much for watching. I understand it's a very long video, but I wanted to do something a little bit different to just going out in the field detecting. And hopefully it's inspired some people to go out and pick it up and maybe find some more stuff. So well, I'll leave you with this one thing. Currently I think I'm on 520 subscribers. Now, I don't do this channel to become famous or anything like that. I simply do it because I want to give something back and show some people what I find that don't actually get the chance to come out. If I get to 1,000, it's not when, because I have no expectations of getting to 1,000. I can't believe I'm even at 500. But if I get to 1,000, I am going to do Roman artifacts. And guys, I've got some absolutely cracking Roman artifacts in a display case that I have found, and if you enjoyed this video, trust me, you're going to enjoy that one. And I'm tempted to even do a giveaway as well when I get to 1,000, because that's a good milestone, isn't it? Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to be out digging soon. I haven't been out for a little while, but I am definitely going to get out soon. So keep your eyes peeled on the channel. Thank you very much again. Really means a lot. Take care guys. Speak to you again.